As always, it is a pleasure to have some time with you today. And I guess before we get started, some of you may have heard of my presentations that I've given in the past, but uh, I'll identify specifically who I am and where I'm coming from. I am Richard Walker, and I want to take a moment to thank you for allowing me to give one of my many presentations that I've composed over the years. First, what is my professional background? Well, after 30 years, I retired from the medical field, but I began my medical career at Indiana University, majoring in allied health. Following my academic accomplishments, I joined the United States Army Medical Corps during the Vietnam War. I was stationed at Incheon, Korea, which was identified as a combat zone also during the War of Vietnam. After completing my military tour, I returned to the civilian world and assisted running pathology laboratories, both private and hospital clinical laboratories. And in furthering my professional career, I held both state and regional management positions for non-medical national and international companies as well. I completed my professional career with international company of GlaxoSmithKline Clinical Pathology Lab, whereupon I took my retirement. My lectures are sponsored by Home Choice Network, where we believe in independence for seniors and peace of mind for families. Home Choice Network is a home care agency, which is licensed by the state of North Carolina and regulated by the Department of Health and Human Services out of Raleigh. And we have been in existence for over 16 years. Home Choice Network has assisted in sponsoring my presentations, which I find a pleasure to work with and to identify various interesting subjects to the public. By the way, I've also held the position of president of Toastmasters International Club of Sandhills here in Southern Pines and the Pinehurst area of North Carolina. This is a worldwide organization dedicated to public speaking and leadership development. At this time, I'd like for you to sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy this presentation. This particular presentation is one of 5 presentations that I have given regarding water. And you can surmise that that was the subject we were going to talk about today. Water is a very interesting subject. I have given a presentation in the past regarding actually what water is and the abundance of water on the planet, but due to various aspects, contamination in particular, we don't have as much available for us as one might think. Water and contamination, as stated by Wikipedia regarding contamination, is the action or state of making or being made impure by polluting or poisoning a particular substance. And we are poisoning and polluting our water at a very fast pace as we, as a human race, continues to go forward. Just think about it. When I was a young child, there was not that many people on Earth as we have today. The population of the world has practically quadrupled just in one generational period. This can't continue. Our planet is like a spacecraft, and it's not getting any larger. So we become overcrowded in a lot of areas. There are cities like in Beijing where there's like 29 million people, over 10 million people. In New York City, I can go on and on. And consequently, we're going to have more and more depletion of water and availability, the lack of healthy water. So are we as human race contaminating, which is only 0.3% that is left for the human consumption? This I identified in my first lecture of what water was as far as, and also its abundance. And even though 97% of the earth is covered with water, we have gone all the way down to the various aspects of water, which is as vapor and ice, and north and south poles, contamination, etc., all the way down to less than 0.3% that is available for us. The answer I just asked regarding water contamination, is it a concern, or the status of it? And it is a resounding yes, it is a concern. Another question, what contaminants are in our water? A lot of people are not aware of the contaminants that we are on a daily basis putting into our water. For example, biological contaminants are pathogenic germs, such as E. coli, which can cause severe food poisoning, amoeba, total coliform, etc., just to name a few. Chemical contamination is like chlorine, fluoride, ammonia, chemical factory pollutants such as coal waste from power plants that leak toxic chemicals into the groundwater, or fertilizers from the farmers on the fields. This list can go on and on. Physical aspects about the water is the chemical breakdown of plastics from a physical state to microplastics, both in the air as we breathe, as well as water that we drink, or food chain in our oceans, as well as water runoff from trash dumps. A lot of people are not aware of just how much plastics are polluting our world all about us. Radiological contamination is also due to the presence of radionuclides, which is defined as atoms with unstable nuclei. This is the reason precautions are taken by disposing radiological material from hospital and other testing sites. Can we see contaminants in our water? The answer, of course, is no. Water may be severely contaminated and look clear enough to drink. Therefore, water should be routinely tested both chemically and biologically. Municipalities have the responsibility to test daily, and county well water should be tested at least once a year, microbiologically as well as chemically. Some contaminants are both positive and negative. Now you may be a little confused what I'm referring to here. Well, 3 are routinely put in the water by municipalities, which are chlorine, ammonia, and fluoride. Now, why is this the case? Well, chlorine kills bacteria. And where do we get our water from municipalities? The same place people do with private wells, from underground streams, from aquifer systems, like small lakes below ground, from lakes above ground, rivers, all areas of collection, but it is contaminated. And the municipalities try to do the best they can in killing out any microbes in the water. Ammonia is added to help the potency of the chlorine on extensive delivery systems. And of course, fluoride, I'm sure you're aware of, helps protect our teeth. And the idea is that consuming water with fluoride is going to reduce cavities. And that, in fact, it does. However, we don't have to be drinking fluoride to help reduce cavities in our mouth. There's fluoride now put into toothpaste. There's fluoride in mouthwash. There are different areas that you can use to get fluoride on your teeth and not have to consume it. Chlorine, ammonia, and fluoride are very toxic elements. So consequently, you need to think about the health of the water you're drinking. Positive chemical reactions are considered reactants, or catalysts, substances that take part in and undergoes change during a reaction or substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction. These various states regarding chlorine, ammonia, and fluoride in the water are reactants chemically in the water. These positive contaminants kill germs and enhance the reduction of cavities, like I've mentioned. But there are other steps that I've also mentioned that can be taken. Here are some more specific negative water contaminants. California's groundwater by Lake Tahoe, according to James Saltzman, author of Drinking Water, is contaminated with MTBE. This is an additive that makes gas burn cleaner. Yet, via polluting groundwater, it is a carcinogenic element to mankind. Yes, can cause cancer. Locally, Teflon's byproduct here in North Carolina had a byproduct called Genex, was dumped into the Columbia Basin and is another cancer-causing carcinogenic. Aberdeen Lake, locally, is another local water source that a few years ago was contaminated with mercury, which is deadly to mankind. So we do have contaminants that leak and get dispersed throughout our water sources. We do not always know what is safe in our drinking water via municipalities, since their guidelines are set by the government. Now we need to think about this. Now, I'm sure you all recall and can remember what took place in Michigan. Well, Michigan's not the only state where they have had municipalities drop the ball and people end up having contaminated water. Now, the government submits a list of elements to be tested, and anything outside of this list is often no concern to be checked. So we all know, as I said, what happened in Michigan. Let us think about all the local golf courses which put over 18 different chemicals down annually, which are washed into underground water source by rain, as well as daily sprinkling of the golf courses. Our local Moore County municipality has informed me that the water they draw may have as many as 300 to 500 contaminants that they process through several stages of filtration and then treat chemically. So our local municipality, like all municipalities, have to be aware of where they're getting the water from, what contaminants are in the water, and take the various steps for treatment. However, it's not as simple as one may think. Let us look at the key physical contaminant which is worth further review, and that's, let's say, plastic. Plastic is one of the biggest pollutants in the world, both physical and chemical. According to CNN, since World War II, from the entry of plastic in society, over 6 trillion tons have been produced and growing. Now you can understand why I wanted to talk about water and contamination. We need to be aware that our water around the world is being contaminated. Over 800 billion tons of plastic pollutants in our lakes and rivers are contaminated along with oceans annually. It takes many years. Science are not sure just how long for plastic to decompose. As it sinks to the bottom of rivers, lakes, and oceans, microorganisms and other small creatures digest this plastic material. Plankton, for example. There's several different species of plankton. This plastic becomes what is known as microplastics and is very ubiquitous. It is carried around the world in the air and settles in the bottom of our oceans, as well as from the air into our forests and all around us. Yes, this plastic becomes digested and works, particularly in the oceans and lakes, on up the food chain. Thus, in due time, enters our food chain, and once again, scientists are not sure just what effects this has on mankind, as we are eating fish, and other uh, types of food produced, caught in the ocean, snails, what have you. Consequently, we're getting polluted as well. Let us take a look at plastic bottles, for example. Water is a universal solvent. We have to keep that in mind. Now, what do I mean when I say a universal solvent? Well, it dissolves everything, even gold, as well as plastic, leaving such chemicals for digestion like hydrocarbons and polypropylene. These are chemicals made by man that is again involved in contamination and pollution. It is estimated that there are 1 million plastic bottles around the world disposed of per minute, and 91% of all plastics are not recycled. And the efforts to recycle plastic, in my opinion, is a must. Let's get the plastic out of our dump sites, our trash, our lakes, our rivers. Let's recycle it if we must use it. We've become so prone to using plastic, but let's be more diligent in trying not to pollute the world about us. Also, keep in mind that you have no idea where the water came from that is in the plastic bottle you're drinking. Now, a lot of people don't think about that. They go to the grocery store, they go to a cooler, they buy some bottled water. It's cool. They drink it like bottled water from filling stations, and they don't think anything about it. They, that's refreshing, that tastes good. But they have no idea where it came from. That's number one. And number two, you don't have any idea of how long that water sat in a warehouse before it's even been consumed. It may have sat there for several days or months. And stop and think about it. In a hot tropical climate, and particularly in the summertime, people are delivering water via trucks. The individual stops, have lunch. You don't know how long that water has been sitting on the truck. And as the water has become quite warmed up due to the hot weather, what's taking place? Well, what's taking place is the decomposition of the plastic in the bottle. You're drinking, as I mentioned earlier, hydrocarbon. You're drinking contaminated water. Let us look at the cost of water that is involved with bottled water. Now that's interesting too. In many places, a 20-ounce bottle of water sells for around, now get this, by the gallon, $8 a gallon. How would you like to pay $8 a gallon for gas? You would be amazed and utterly shocked if a gallon of gas cost $8. But in turn, you're not realizing what you're paying for $1 or more when you buy a bottle of water, and how that adds up for the cost of a gallon of water. Now, look at what large corporations are doing. It's been a strong marketing push for money. That's the main reason. To name just a few corporations, Nestle Corporation in Northern California buys water from a local town aquifer at around 520 million gallons annually and pays the town 1 cent for 17 gallons. They bottle this water and market it out for $45 per 17 gallons. Talk about profit. Think about it. Plastic is just the tip of the contaminating iceberg. Pharmaceuticals that are outdated, that are not needed any longer, are thrown away in trash. A lot of people are on medicine, and then all at once, well, doctor said I don't need to take this anymore, so they inappropriately discard it, and that ends in the trash, ends in the dumps, and ends back into the water. Pharmaceuticals are chemicals, various chemicals that can cause contamination. Do you want to be taking somebody else's medicine? I don't think so. So that's a big concern. Also, people are not aware. As you take medicine, and I've known some people on 12, 14 different types of pills. And of course, here in America, if you have a problem, no matter what, pop a pill. Well, that's overrated as well. But that's what's going on. And this is passed from your body. And consequently, you got it, it ends back into contaminating our water supply. So consequently, we need to keep in mind we are surrounded with contaminating chemicals. Over 60,000 chemicals surround us daily. Our homes, paint, the clothes we wear, etc. We just must keep in mind how contaminating our lives have become and how that affects our water. Now, I do have another presentation that I will be covering because there's a lot to cover during each of my water presentations, but I do have a presentations for the solutions of contaminated water and the steps to take to have healthy water. So it is healthy water, of course, is available. I don't want you to feel that I'm talking about contaminating water and there's no water to be safe. No, there is. There's steps taken to make it safe. And we'll talk about that during another presentation. So a lot of people don't think about the laundry detergents that we use, our cars. For example, there's various byproducts from our cars that end up on the roads, oil and gas, farmers, pesticides. I can keep going on. Aerosols that people spray in the air. The biggest concern regarding contaminants is how we allow our minds to be contaminated with fake news that all is well. Now, I need to repeat that. The biggest concern regarding contaminants is how we allow our minds to be contaminated with fake news that all is well, because we have to be diligent that all is not necessarily well and safe for our body and our health. But like I said, there are solutions. Remember, water is the essence of life. And I composed a poem regarding water. As I was sitting by a stream, contemplating to rest and dream, I saw the water that looked so pure. What I wondered and was not so sure, to quench my thirst and have a drink, should I stop and really think? Let me check and closely see just what is truly safe for me. Locally, in the past years, I've had the opportunity to be a water specialist here in Moore County, North Carolina, testing, treating, troubleshooting the challenge of Moore County water, both municipal and private well water. I have worked with certified local, county, and national and international water testing laboratories. And as I mentioned earlier, I retired after 30 years from the medical field. Consequently, I feel I am qualified to speak on the exciting subject called water. Again, I wish to take a moment to thank you for allowing myself and Home Choice Network to spend some time with you today. I realize I've covered a lot of material regarding the fascinating subject of water. However, we can revisit this topic at your convenience anytime. Please keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, that I do have more presentations regarding water, and consequently understand more in depth just how the essence of life is involved with water. It is always a pleasure to have time with you, and we at Home Choice Network take great concern in helping folks to take their medicine, eat healthy, and drink good, fresh water. Your health and happiness are important to us. Thank you, and have a great day.